Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Following on from yesterday's Cenobite video on Abigor, today I'm delving back into the world of Hellraiser to bring you Baron, a mysterious Cenobite who apparently in this new canon assisted Philippe Le Marchand, the Toymaker, in creating the Lament configuration. Now again, just to further expand on that, everything in this video is a deviation from most known canon of the Hellraiser universe. There will be some things here which absolutely contradict other things, but just remember, this is part of a comic book lore and comic book canon. Now, Baron, the Cenobite, and all of this lore appeared in Clive Barker's Hellraiser, Book of the Damned, number 3. So again, just keep that in mind as we head out and explore Baron. Now this again, much like yesterday's video, will be a story rather than an explained video. But let's just dive right in, shall we? Baron is a mysterious Cenobite who has been around, at the very least, since the 15th century, as he was first mentioned in the personal diary of the notorious child killer, Giles de Rais. Baron was the Cenobite who helped Philippe Le Marchand create the Lament configuration, and perhaps other puzzle boxes. Sometime in the 1700s, Le Marchand was an architect and an artisan who was a devotee and scholar of the occult. And again, here is your first key deviation from canon and lore. As we know, that Le Marchand was just a simple toy maker, no crazed occultist or studier of the arcane. However, while studying through various dark arts and arcane books in this canon, he came across several references to Albertus Magnus and Cenobites, supposedly members of a supernatural order, not unlike demons or angels. The mysterious Cenobite known as Baron was discovered by Philippe Le Marchand sometime in 1749, when Philippe visited the chateau of Antoine de Moray and related to him his tales of artistic frustration. Monsieur de Moray produced a slender volume from his collection of books, and from inside the book he removed several loose sheets of paper, which he explained were from the personal diary of Giles de Rais. Le Marchand was no stranger to the legend of Giles de Rais, who he knows was executed for murdering over 100 children as apparent sacrifices to the devil. He had become something of a boogeyman to the children of France. Le Marchand would leaf through these pages, and he would find and learn that Giles de Rais was not evoking devils, but he was in fact sacrificing and evoking a Cenobite, as it was spelled in this personal text, who called himself Baron. Giles de Rais had first learned of the Cenobites through an Angevin knight in 1426, who was subsequently imprisoned, accused of heresy. Monsieur de Moray assured Le Marchand of the authenticity of the formula contained within the sheets of the papers, now in his possession, were one and the same as the formula utilized by Giles de Rais. Upon this revelation, Le Marchand was filled with intense anticipation. Monsieur de Moray then imparted one final gift to Le Marchand, the box of Albertus Magnus. Le Marchand purchases both the pages and the box at considerable cost, requiring that he offer his architectural services when he returned to New York. Now, Le Marchand would head to New York, and while sailing there, he studied the box, constructed by Albertus Magnus, for much of the first night, and after several hours of manipulating the tiny brass plates adorning the surface of the box, it began to move and shift. Finally, tiny little hatches, numbering 9 on the face, opened to reveal tiny brass birds, which joined to produce a delicate and beautiful harmony, unlike any he had heard before. But through this melody, Le Marchand also heard the chiming of a distant bell, and noted the scent, the sweet, sweet scent of vanilla. This was when one of the cabin walls opened, revealing a place other than the adjoining cabin. A dark and cold place made of stone. He immediately recognized it for what it was. Hell, as described by Livingston Merrick. Out of this passage stepped a sort of man of most gruesome appearance. His skin was nearly blue and pulled taut across his skull, giving him a most dreadful grin. His cheeks were rouged and he seemed heavily perfumed. Though initially taken aback by his appearance, Le Marchand eventually found his voice and inquired whether or not this stranger was in fact a Cenobite. The creature, the man, simply replied with "Yes, I am," and he introduced himself as Baron, Duke of the Order of the Gash, and it was the same Baron with whom Giles de Rais had had dealings some 300 years earlier. Le Marchand proceeded to explain his reason for contacting one of his order, and described to the Cenobite the events leading to his attempts at evoking him, and his frustration and failures with steel as applied to his chosen art. Le Marchand produced for him several of his own sketches for the boxes which he had hoped to construct using this unknown material. Appearing to be quite intrigued by the designs, Baron asked Le Marchand where did his inspiration come from. Le Marchand explained that they were constructs based on his own fascination with order and geometry. The Cenobite handed back Le Marchand his designs and related to him that "You will serve us." Baron then stepped forth into the adjacent hall as he opened the door to the seaman's quarters. Le Marchand asked what he was doing, and the Cenobite replied that he could not return to Hell empty-handed, and since Le Marchand would serve his master best by staying behind, he would have to procure another soul to return in his place. Le Marchand looked on in horror as he swiftly dispatched one of the crew. Following his visit with the Cenobite, Le Marchand could not recall the events that transpired after this meeting, but he knew that this was merely the beginning of a long sequence of unsettling events which were to follow. And that is the end of the story of Baron. Now, in terms of who Baron is and where he came from, what he does, and what his role is in Hell, I mean, announcing yourself as Duke of the Order of the Gash is quite a title. I mean, it's clearly not Hell Priest, but Duke of the Order of the Gash is, again, a seemingly very high up within the Order of Hell and serving under the Leviathan. Now, again, this whole story itself, if we're taking it in canon with the movies, the inspiration of the puzzle box, coming from order and fascination with geometry and things like that, it's good, but it doesn't hold up or relate to how the construct of Leviathan appears, because again, Leviathan represents the box as well in some form or another. Now, you could stress and you could argue that Le Marchand merely had visions and is inspired by his arcane dark arts and has just come across it in that way. But again, it doesn't hold up that much to scrutiny. But I do like this story. I do like this story. It's another interesting take on the creation of the puzzle box, the Lament configuration. Now anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please do let me know down below in the comments. If you are new here, make sure you do hit subscribe, make sure you peruse the rest of my Hellraiser playlist, and I hope you do enjoy. If you like what I do here on the channel with my various styles of content and genre and my efforts to entertain, then please do check out my Patreon, which is linked down below in the description box, or cop yourself some merch, which is linked underneath the video via my Teespring. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Mr. H. Take care.